My name's Cathy Shrank. I'm a reader in Tudor English in the School of English. I also teach paleography to the postgraduate students. The major thing with, I'll do the third year one first, was I suppose that the way I was coming at was through information literacy, that I wanted the students to be introduced to resources that they could then take on and use themselves, and that was why being wired up as a classroom was extremely important. And also, not just the great thing about the CILASS space is it's not just sort of wiring up and that you're showing them, is that they can actually do it themselves once you've demonstrated. And so that was, I wanted to equip them to be able to do these things on their own, and that was a major benefit. It also allowed the kind of, because of the space, the group work actually worked, whereas normally, group work can be less than satisfying, because if they're kind of sitting there being distracted by, they can barely hear themselves in their group and they can't actually sit around as a group, they're kind of like birds on a telegraph wire. But the group work doesn't work, but I found sort of by actually having the physical space for them to get away, that it produced really excellent group work because they could concentrate during the kind of 20 minutes that you were asking them to look at something together. So just having the phase kind of allowed something that you'd be trying to do in another space but wouldn't work because you were constrained by the kind of the physical kind of space. I also, and then because they were working together in groups, they went on and they did exhibitions and group presentations where they kind of, I suppose, got a chance to do their own research, or sort of, one of the groups put together little samples editorial for an edition that they were a kind of mock edition, and with the exhibition, because it was a large space, they could use the walls and the laptops and so on to kind of have a multimedia kind of exhibition on a various aspect of book history. With the postgraduate teaching, again, it's useful because I'm wanting to train them to know where to go to find answers, or that if they, because the paleography is about training them to read old handwriting, and often it can be greatly helped if you know where to go for clues, sort of, that there are sites with sort of alphabets and other samples of writing. Just remembering to use things like the ODNB to check names if you're trying to work out, because that's one of the hardest things, the names. Or if you're doing places, then having Google Maps is actually quite helpful. Or if you're going through a list of bishoprics, well, sort of it's quite helpful to have a list of bishoprics. So it's sort of reminding them that there are other resources that they can go to help themselves when they're sort of not there in the classroom. And that's what, so being wired in is actually very helpful again. So I suppose, yes, the main thing is about sort of trying to make them independent.